On Larry King Now, Colin Cowherd talking trending topics from the world of sports.
If you look at who works in the NFL, Drew Brees, Purdue, Big Ben, Aaron Rodgers Junior College, it's the kids that are humbled in college, that play with average players and have to elevate them. Phillip Rivers.
Where's LeBron going to go?
Los Angeles.
Clippers or Lakers?
Lakers. Clippers brand isn't big enough for him. Serena Williams has won 15 Grand Slams for the last time Tiger won his last major. Serena Williams is the most underrated athlete of my life.
Great point, yeah. Maybe the most dominant athlete of her generation. Plus, Lavar Ball.
Yeah.
Does he help or hurt his sons?
Parenting's hard. He got a bunch of scholarship, 3 boys to UCLA, which is the most applied to university in the world. Hard for me to criticize. Lonzo Ball's a good kid.
It's all next on Larry King Now. Welcome to Larry King Now. Today's guest is fan favorite sports broadcaster Colin Cowherd. Colin hosts The Herd with Colin Cowherd weekdays on FS1 and Fox Sports Radio Network, and Speak for Yourself alongside Jason Whitlock, also on FS1. He's also a contributor to Fox NFL Kickoff during the football season. We're going to talk some current topics from the sports world, as well as Colin's renowned broadcasting career. First things first, March Madness. Who you picking?
Villanova's the best team I've seen. Duke's the most talented. So I'd probably go. Something happened a few years ago in the one-and-done culture. Kentucky moved toward it. Villanova moved away from it, and they've both succeeded. Villanova said, no, we're not going to get that kind of kid. We can't attract him anyway, so we're going to get 3-star guys and keep them in school. And did you notice when one and done started, as everybody was paying attention to the rise of Kentucky, that Gonzaga and Villanova have won as many or more games in the last 3 years? They went the opposite way, which is a great thing about sports. There's more than one way to win.
So are you picking Villanova?
Villanova is the best passing college basketball team I have seen in years.
It's more of even now in the whole.
Used to be a 4-star hotel. Yeah. Now it's a 2-star hotel. All the rooms are pretty average. You know.
Athletes better at the smaller schools too.
More transferring. The best players are one and done. College basketball is an airport. You land and you're looking for the next flight. You want to get out. Nobody wants to hang out in the airport hotel. So the players come in, and the good ones, they want to get out to the NBA. So nobody stays. So it's just this fluid sport where the best players are gone.
Does college basketball have a Belichick?
Coach K's the best coach. Jay Wright's really good at Villanova. Really smart. And he's he's gotten better. He's not one of these guys. Bobby Knight, I thought, hit a wall, and then he kind of started believing the press. Some rigidity, didn't recruit as well. Guys hit walls. Jay Wright is better every year. Roy Williams has done that. Roy's gotten better. Roy's a listener. He hasn't gotten stagnant.
The Naismith Player of the Year, is it Trae Young?
No, Jalen Brunson, the kid at Villanova I like. Trae Young's interesting.
He'll be a good pro?
He'll be okay. We always do this. Always the next Steph. Steph Curry is the most important basketball player in the world, not LeBron. Okay, Steph Curry looks, 8-year-olds think, oh, I could be Steph Curry. My son thinks he can be Steph Curry. My son never looked at Shaq and thought, I'm going to be 7'3". Steph Curry changed the game. No Steph Curry, you don't have a dynasty. The three-point shot's not as big. LeBron's a freight train. LeBron's a transformational talent. Steph Curry changed shoes, changed the game, changed shots, changed three-pointer, changed the franchise. I think Steph Curry is the most important basketball player globally of my lifetime. Michael Jordan was great. He didn't change the game. Kareem created a shot that was never duplicated. Steph's the opposite. He's created a shot that everybody's trying to do.
There are people who will say Kevin Durant is better on the Warriors than he is.
Steph Curry eliminated centers. You and I grew up with centers.
Yeah.
Steph Curry eliminated centers. You can't be on the floor of a pro basketball game if you can't shoot. It used to be there were so many players we grew up. Rodman, Ben Wallace. It didn't matter if players, there were all sorts of players. You had role players. You had a physical, look at the Knicks. Anthony Mason couldn't shoot. I mean, Charles Oakley couldn't shoot. Because of Steph Curry, if you can't shoot, you can't play professional basketball.
What do you make of the Houston Rockets?
Good. Mike D'Antoni worries me. He's Chip Kelly. It's a system.
It's all offense.
It's all offense. It's a system. And during a regular season, when you don't have time to prepare. But when you took Chip Kelly in a bowl game, and Nick Saban or Urban Meyer have a month to prepare, and you take Mike D'Antoni and I play him 7 times in 2 weeks, no more tricks. I'm equally rested. So D'Antoni to me is Chip Kelly, built for the regular season. I love watching Chip Kelly's football teams and Mike D'Antoni's basketball teams. I don't think they're built for championships.
Harden the best player?
He's the best offensive player. He's the best offensive player. He's, you know, generally there's a prototype. Kobe was like Michael Light, right? I've never seen anything like Harden. He's a lefty. He's not fast. He's herky-jerky.
How does he get to the basket?
He's got an awkward style. Again, lefty. He's like a left-handed boxer. Nobody's quite ready for the angles. He's a great shooter, initiates contact, and Mike D'Antoni's system, which, by the way, never forget Mike D'Antoni's system. Jeremy Lin took over basketball for a month. It's good for it. Chris Duhon, Jeremy Lin, Steve Nash was the MVP. So some of it's Harden, a lot of it. Some of it's Mike D'Antoni's system, which elevates all point guards.
Even Chris Paul?
Yeah, I love Chris Paul, but he shouldn't be winning 22 straight games. I mean, I love him, but you know, he's my favorite point guard because I think he plays old school, high intellect, defense, gritty, tough, smart, can play well with others. By the way, you know, how's Blake Griffin's career without Chris Paul? It's not the same career.
What happened to him with the Clippers? I'm a Clipper fan, and I don't know.
Bad chemistry. You know, top down. I've always thought it's an odd organization. There's not a symmetry within the organization. It's Steve Ballmer's sort of he's a brilliant, sort of eccentric, loud, volume owner. And then Lawrence Frank running it. And then Doc Rivers wants to be a GM. He's more of a coach. Then there was Chris Paul. Blake Griffin was a limited player, couldn't shoot.
He can shoot, Blake Griffin.
A little bit. You know, get him outside 18 feet. I don't trust him. I just never thought it worked. I didn't feel everybody was aligned in the same place.
Where's LeBron going to go?
Los Angeles.
Clippers or Lakers?
Lakers. Clippers brand isn't big enough for him. I think Lonzo's good. Brandon Ingram's potentially very good. Kyle Kuzma's very good. He'll move Paul George out to Los Angeles, and they'll be very, very good.
How about the rumors of him going to Philadelphia?
Philadelphia's got better young players than the Lakers, but he doesn't own 2 houses there, and they don't make a lot of movies there. So I think this is just a better place to be. Plus, the NBA is a winter league. It's just easier to live in L.A. It's 70 degrees in January.
He is a friend of Steve Ballmer's, though.
Is he?
And Ballmer has a lot of money.
And, well, you know, LeBron's buddies all live out here. Maverick Carter, you know Maverick. All these guys live out here. That's some of it.
Next, Colin on the success of his FS1 shows, and if he'll ever branch out of the world of sports. We'll talk a lot about the 2018 NFL Draft. It's all next on this edition of Larry King Now. Our guest is Colin Cowherd, and The Herd with Colin Cowherd is Fox Sports' #1 highest-rated studio program. Why does that brand work, do you think? Can you self-reflect?
The mission was very simple. Fox had a big Super Bowls, World Series, NASCAR, big games, big names, Aikman, Bradshaw, Buck, Long, Strahan. And then my takeaway was we had big games, we had big names, let's do big topics. So we just do opinion. You know, ESPN is doing some Sports Center, they're doing some journalism, they're doing some debate, which is sort of resented by the journalists and the highlight people. They can't quite find their way. We're very simple. We come on every day, and we just give you strong opinions on the biggest topics. Brady, LeBron, Harden, NBA, Nick Saban. In a very complex world, simplicity works. You know, there are so many choices. They are anxiety.
Why did you leave ESPN?
10 great years, didn't like my last one. I thought the company was getting political. I didn't trust the leadership. I didn't know what we were becoming, and I wanted something new. Pat Riley once said, 10 years of coaching, move on. They get tired of your voice.
When you were a kid, who was the sports broadcaster you idolized?
Well, Vin Scully, I heard him on radio at 7 years old. I was in Washington State, and I had this transistor radio in a bathroom. I remember where I was. I had to plug it in a bathroom, Washington State on the coast, and I had to sit in a spot by our bathroom to hear Vin Scully. And even at 7, 8 years old, I knew he was different, told stories. And so I used to listen. He'd come KFI, he'd come up the coast, and I'd listen to KNBR and Dick Enberg with the Angels and the San Francisco Giants guys. So I wanted to be a baseball announcer. There was no talk radio. It was newspapers and radio. There were guys like you I listened to. And I just knew. I was a little bit of I wasn't lonely, but I was alone. Alcoholic father, British proper mother, left often by myself. And I loved radio. And I talked to myself. I do today. I liked writing. I liked talking. I liked storytelling. I used to fill out baseball cards, the Reds and the Dodgers. I mean, literally, it was just Lopes and Russell and Garvey and Yeager and Joe Furguson, all the way down to, Don Sutton, Messersmith, Doug Rauh. And I'd do, the Reds. And I'd play wiffle ball games in the yard, and I'd call them.
Yeah,
and I would
play games to myself.
Yeah, and I would call the games. And, it sounds like such a sad little life, but I wasn't lonely. I was alone. There's a big difference.
We lost Dick Enberg.
Most gracious broadcaster, perhaps, of my life.
Also, the best specialist. I mean, he could do a lot of things.
Tennis, golf, baseball. Gracious, wonderful guy. He passed away with a suitcase at his front door. He was ready to do another assignment. They found him with a suitcase and a suit on. And I talked to a friend last night. Dean Spanos owns this L.A. Chargers, and the Spanos said he came home, heard the news, and Dick Enberg had sent him a Christmas card, and it was the first one he opened, and he had just passed away.
NFL draft, what do you make about all these quarterbacks?
It'll be, half will be good, half won't. Sam Darnold at USC, regular people, great family, tough, thick, smart, works hard, had a great pro day this week. It started raining halfway through, which he wanted. It's really funny, Larry, the way it works. I wrote this in a book one time, my first book. You think there'd be a linear progress. High school quarterback, go to Alabama, USC, NFL. Doesn't work that way. If you look at who works in the NFL, Drew Brees, Purdue, Big Ben, Aaron Rodgers, junior college. It's the kids that are humbled in college, that play with average players and have to elevate them. Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning at Ole Miss. Do you know USC's never had a quarterback in the Super Bowl? Go look around the NFL. LSU, USC, Ohio State, Florida. Okay, Brady, Michigan. But he struggled to start. Had a chip on his shoulder.
Didn't start.
Sam Darnold is very unique because he came to USC and he was their second, third best quarterback. Had to work his way up. He was a 3-star recruit, middle-class family, didn't go to a top program. So he's got all the things necessary to be successful in the NFL, which is he was doubted, he wasn't pampered, and he's been through some turmoil at USC. He lost his coach midway.
What do you make of Josh Rosen?
Not sure if he's durable.
Smart and great arm.
Great arm, smart. Durability, escapability worries me. I think he's got a little Matt Ryan, but I'm not sure he's as durable.
How about the running back?
Saquon Barkley, more Reggie Bush than Ezekiel Elliott. 3 games he was held under 3 yards a carry. If you start digging, he lost more yards than any running back in college football last year. He is not a 27 carry a game kid. He's not. He's a 16 carry a game guy. I like him a lot. He reminds me of Reggie Bush. He can do special teams, but he is not Jim Brown. He is not Earl Campbell. He's not Adrian Peterson. He is not that type of running back.
He's the best running back in America, though.
Yes, but he is not Todd Gurley of the Rams. No way. That kid, he's not Walter Payton. He's not that kind of player.
After the break, we'll talk about the world's most dominant athletes and more with Colin Cowherd right after this. Our guest, he's one of the best in the business in the world of sports talk. He may be the best. He's Colin Cowherd of FS1. He does NFL. He does a lot of things. You have a favorite sport?
Grew up loving baseball. I think with technology, my pace increased, so I kind of favor frenetic sports, basketball and football. NFL, pro football, pro basketball are probably my favorite. But I like anything. I'll watch anything. I like competition.
Baseball, I like them all, but baseball is still my favorite because it's the mind.
Well, it is. It's cerebral, and we both
athletic chess.
There's a lot of shifts happening. You know what's happening in sports, Larry, that's interesting? So in my lifetime, most legislation from NCAA to baseball to football has tried to create parity. Now I'll ask you a question. I'm going to flip the table. Okay, so right now, women's basketball's got a dynasty. College football has its greatest dynasty. LeBron's made 7 straight finals. The NBA has a dynasty. And think about this. NASCAR just had a dynasty. Why are there more dynasties concurrently than we've ever had when leagues are fighting against it? And my belief is, much like in Silicon Valley, sports has become analytically driven and early adapters separate. It's happening in baseball. Cleveland, Cubs, Dodgers, Red Sox, Yankees. Now, the Yankees always had money, but they weren't great in the 70s and 80s.
Oh.
The teams and the front offices all through sports, college and pro, that adapt, early adapters with analytics, separate quickly. Houston. And this Houston thing was 6 years ago in the making. Cleveland.
Yeah,
it's not market size anymore, Larry. It's not.
Yeah.
Everybody's making, with all these regional deals, the Cincinnati Reds are making money. No, they're not making Dodger money, but they're making money.
Baseball's a regional sport, but it has more total. It actually plays so many games, 162. But I know I used to complain. The NFL is plays once a week. It's gambling.
Right. Gambling's a huge component.
Boom.
It's also really good on TV.
Yeah.
It's 3 hours. It's in a box. It's a square field. Yeah. Games have urgency. They all mean something.
You recently unveiled your most dominant athletes list.
Yes.
Your criteria. Here is who you put as your top 5 dominant athletes.
Last 20 years.
Last 20. And I agreed with only one.
All right.
Okay. You put Floyd Mayweather, Usain Bolt, Michael Phelps, Serena Williams, and Roger Federer.
Yes.
The only one I agree with was Federer. And my other 4 were LeBron James, Mike Trout, Mike
Trout's never won a playoff game.
Alex Ovechkin.
That's pretty good.
And Tom Brady.
Let me fight for Serena Williams here. Now think about this. Serena Williams won the Australia Open while pregnant. I think she gave birth during the first set and won the second set. Okay, Serena Williams won a major while pregnant. She's not only the best individual player, she's never lost in a doubles final. She's never really had competition. Even Federer had Djokovic where he struggled. Tiger Woods, Serena Williams has won 15 Grand Slams before the last time Tiger won his last major. Serena Williams is the most underrated athlete of my life.
Great point, yeah. Maybe the most dominant athlete of her generation.
And by the way, you and I grew up with Martina, Steffi Graf, Billie Jean King, Chris Everett. I don't think they're close. I've never seen. Now, the only reason I put Mayweather in, he's 50-0, hasn't lost since '96 in the Olympics, and was knocked down briefly once. Usain Bolt, I give him credit. Just say this out loud. History of the world. He's the fastest human ever. That has to account for something.
Yeah, you're
if
strong.
You're the fastest human.
I know when you give your opinions, you're very strong.
I'm convicted.
Okay. LeVar Ball.
Yeah.
You had him on your show.
Yes.
I hear it went a little wild.
He was a little wild. He was not. He was offensive to my female co-host. Yeah. Christine Leahy was on the show, and he was stay in your lane, and that didn't go well. But, you know, it was an interesting moment, Larry, because I didn't jump in because I thought, if I jump in, am I disrespecting her? I was raised by a very proper mother. And I thought, if I jump in as he's being rude, and she was firing back, she was holding her own. If I jump in to save her, am I minimizing or marginalizing her? She was punching back.
So let her punch.
And I got a lot of criticism for it, but in the end, she's a broadcaster and a professional. She'd worked locally, regionally, and nationally. Even now, she got to deal with NBC. She's all over our network. It was an interesting moment. I didn't like what he did, but I thought she was landing and wasn't being overpowered. And I thought it was tense and captivating TV. Didn't love what he was doing, but in the end, I thought it actually, in my opinion, elevated her.
Does he help or hurt his sons?
Parenting's hard. He got a bunch of scholarship, 3 boys to UCLA, which is the most applied to university in the world. Hard for me to criticize. Lonzo Ball's a good kid. He's a nice kid. Lakers like him. He's a hard worker, almost stoic, smart. I mean, his vision's ridiculous.
Think the 2 other boys will play in the NBA?
Not to that level. I think he's different. You know how it is when you have kids. You have the young one, the middle kid. They all have like a syndrome. You know, the old kid. Usually the older kid's more mature. The middle kid feels lost. The young kid's a little rebellious. I tend to think Lonzo's going to be he's going to be the top player.
Would you change the NBA and its playoff structure?
I think we're overreacting. We have LeBron in a dynasty. We're always overreacting in sports. Now everybody wants to get rid of the NBA or the NCAA. The NCAA is terrible. So let me pose this. So what we don't like is that kids have to go play basketball who are great. They're prodigies, really. In America, we have 320 million people. On average, the NBA draft, if you take out European players, of which there's about 4 to 5 a year, there's about 9 to 10 guys who can really play. The rest of them wash out. But there's 9 or 10 domestic kids that get a second, third contract, become rich. Beyond you, me, rich, right? So I would call them prodigies. So we're going to blow up the system because for a year, those guys don't become rich. Well, they do 9 months later, okay? Never forget what the NCAA provides to the female gymnast, to the African-American tennis player at Tulane, who's not going to have a pro career. They give college opportunities, travel, tutoring. The NCAA works for a majority of people. Does it work for basketball prodigies? No, it doesn't. Does it work for Alabama football players? No. But it works for the Oregon State football player who doesn't, maybe he's a 2.7 student. We tend to be, I wish we had more moderate thinking. Everything is blow everything up. Let's change everything.
The best thing about you, Colin, is you make people think. In our final moments with Colin Cowherd, he'll answer your questions from social media. We'll talk a little baseball. Stay right with us. A couple of baseball questions before we go to some fan questions. You make the rule changes. What do you make of speeding up the game?
Baseball?
Yeah.
I think we're so paralyzed by that. Cincinnati Reds, Boston Red Sox, 4 hours. Darcy, Pat Zachary, home run. Carlton Fisk waving at Fenway. I've never watched a football game in my life and said, it was 3:50. If it was 3 hours and 48 minutes, it would have made a much better game. Watch the game. I've never gone to a baseball game. Listen, here's the problem with baseball.
Part of baseball is its pace.
Yes. Now, could you modify the pitching changes? Some of the analytics, it's ridiculous. Everybody's Tony La Russa now. But, I mean, when you go to a game, baseball's without a clock. The pacing is okay.
Can't tell the wife when you'll be home.
Yeah.
Dodgers, you think they could go back to the World Series?
Yeah, I think we're getting a real top-heavy baseball. I think the Dodgers are good. The Giants are all in now financially. Cubs will have a rebound year. Yankees, Red Sox, Indians, and Houston. I think there's about 7 really good teams at the top. Then there's a gap.
Houston's pretty good.
Houston's really good, and they're built to. They've got about 3 guys they're going to have to pay here eventually. So I think they need to make hay. They did last year while they can.
They got a good contract sports cable. Mm-hmm. Bryce Harper's going to make $40 million?
Yeah, like him, like his dad. Met his dad at an All-Star game 2 years ago. Love him. I always go to the dad. What's the dad like? Sam Darnold's dad, Peyton Manning's dad, Tom Brady's dad. Bryce Harper's got a good
Might
dad.
the Nationals keep him? They got the money.
I'll tell you, here's the key.
They're the richest owners in the league.
Who's that?
The Lerners.
It was the Twins. It was Pohlad. Was it Pohlad for years? The Twins were the richest owners.
The Lerners.
Are the richest owners.
Individual owners. The Dodgers have a Guggenheim group.
Right.
But the Lerners have a...
I would keep... Now, you can make the argument he's a home run hitter. What's his value in wins? WAR. But there are players who are foundational players. Mike Trout for the Angels, Bryce Harper. You keep him. Derek Jeter, Cal Ripken. Harper feels foundational. Like you could let one of their, Gio Gonzalez, you could let a great pitcher go. You couldn't let him go.
I think they'll try to keep him.
Yeah, they'll try, yeah.
Some social media questions. Drew Butner on the Larry King Now blog. Were you surprised Philly beat New England in the Super Bowl?
Yes, very. I was. Nick Foles? Your State Farm agent. Who's Nick Foles? I mean, it was a shocker.
Drew also asks, do you think LeBron will leave Cleveland?
Yes, I do. I don't think he loves Dan Gilbert. They don't have any cap space.
Coach got sick.
They can't reboot it again. I think he's out.
Bruce McClellan on the Larry King Now blog. Do you really hate Philly fans?
No, I don't. I don't hate any of them. I really don't.
Do you play up that, though?
No, I try never to be dishonest. I can be theatrical. Listen, the Sixers are better than I thought, and the Eagles shocked me in the Super Bowl. Listen, Philadelphia is passionate. I like passionate fans.
They are that.
They're passionate. You know, that all sports is an emotional connectivity between teams, fans, and I'm in the middle. So the more passionate I get, I always say, I'm looking for drama. I'm rooting for tire fires on the side of a freeway. I'm looking for stuff I can talk about.
John Crabtree on the Larry King Now blog. Athletes have been more politically outspoken than normal lately. What do you make of the pushback against LeBron James speaking out against Trump?
I don't feel a lot of pushback with LeBron. I think the NBA...
Laura Ingraham made that stupid.
Well, yeah, I don't... Here's what I'll say. You know, don't confuse political alignment with politics are good for work. Now, if you go to Thanksgiving dinner or church and everybody's banging on Obama, politics are easy. You know, with the Warriors, they're winning all their games. Owner, GM, coach, players, it's all anti-Trump. That's easy. What if Steph Curry missed 3 weeks, they lost 9 games, and Zaza Pachulia came out and said, you know, I like Trump. And the guy said, one of the coaches said, I'm pro-NRA. Losing streak, Trump, NRA. Warriors make it work because they never lose, and they're all anti-Trump. Political alignment, by the way, the Seahawks, it was all great until they lost games. Then they gave Michael Bennett and Richard Sherman away. So, yeah, we've all grown up knowing Thanksgiving dinner, church, workspace, be careful about politics. Now, people say, well, racial equality is not political. It shouldn't be, but in our world today, Colin Kaepernick took a knee for racial inequality. It became political. Larry, in my life, weather was small talk. Weather's now political. If I walked up and said, God, it's hot, people would say, oh, you're a California hippie, you're anti-Trump. No, it's just hot. You know, global warming, you can't talk about anything. So even the fight for racial equality, which we're all for, that becomes political. And I think it can work if you have a smart player like Malcolm Jenkins, who can a veteran, who can smartly navigate it and is willing to listen. He's fighting for the right thing. But not everybody's capable of that. Some kids aren't ready for the blowback in social media or the media. It's hard to be a leader. And Malcolm Jenkins makes it work. Yeah. He's smart, he's a veteran, and he wasn't selfish. It was about the cause, not about him. And so it worked.
Jim Maher on the Larry King Now blog. Who will be a surprise pick in the NFL draft?
Who asked that? Jim Mora?
Yeah, Jimmy Maher.
The coach?
I don't know.
Jim Moore, the coach, is
No,
texting you. No. He got fired by UCLA. He's got nothing but time now.
I know.
Who will be a surprise?
Well, the kid on Notre Dame, the guard, won't be a surprise.
He won't be a surprise. I'll say there's a running back for Georgia, Keegan-Michael, will end up being the healthiest, best running back in the class, not Saquon Barkley.
Write it down, folks.
Big, strong kid, won't get hurt, last 8 years.
Jimmy also asked, is there a sport you don't really get its appeal?
I'm not really a NASCAR guy. My dad didn't work on cars.
It's a left turn.
Well, my dad owned 3 cars, an International Harvester. I grew up on the coast of Washington, so he had a durable car. And then he went to his midlife crisis. He bought a Buick Riviera. And then at the end, he bought a Ford GMC truck to take around firewood. That was it. My dad literally drove a car for 20 years, and then when it fell apart, he got rid of it. We didn't fix cars. He wasn't a car guy. I was never in, he never had the hood up.
I never had a car. Yeah. Finally, KJN 1016. Should there be 8 teams in the college football finals?
Again, we can't be happy with anything.
Well, what's wrong with 8?
Well, what's wrong with 4? I like, okay, dinner party. What's the perfect dinner party? 4, 8, 16, what is it? What's the perfect dinner party?
6.
It's not 8. 8's too many.
Yeah.
8's too many.
6 is.
When's the last time in your life you said, the 8th team in college football, they're getting ripped off, they're the best team? You've never said that. You said the 3rd team. A couple of Joe Paterno teams went undefeated, they were like 3rd, you were like, that's not fair. An Auburn team about 10 years ago, Auburn was really good, they were 3rd. When's the last time you said, that 2-loss BYU team, they're the best team I've seen this year? We've never said that.
Colin Cowherd, he always makes you think the other way.
No Scully with the Dodgers this year. But they got that Joe Davis kid.
He's very good.
Oh, he's good.
Damn right he's good.
He's the best young announcer in American television.
Agree with you 100%.
He is really good.
Big thanks to my guest, Colin Cowherd. Be sure to tune in to The Herd and Speak for Yourself, both weekdays on FS1. As always, you can find me on Twitter at Kings Things, and I'll see you next time.